Hi, and welcome to my December wrap-up, and I read 10 books and 1 novella, and some of them were library books, so I don't have those with me. The first book I read was the 3rd book in the Vampire Academy series, Shadow Kiss. I gave this 4.5 stars. I really liked it. It was heartbreaking, but I liked it a lot. It's definitely one of my favorites. Between that and Blood Promise, those two are my favorites for sure. After that, of course, I read Blood Promise, the 4th book. I gave that one 4.5 stars as well. And then I took a break from the Vampire Academy books to read some romance novels, and I read Twas the Night After Christmas by Sabrina, Jeffries, and this was a cute romance novel. I gave it 4 stars. I feel like I've kind of read this book before. Like, I don't know, it was really weird. I know I haven't read this book, but a lot of it felt really similar. I think Julia Quinn might have a book that has a similar concept to it. I think that might be what it is. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the characters. And then I read The Ugly Duchess by Eloisa James. This was actually a reread for me. I own it on my Nook, so I picked that up. She has a whole series of books where she's retelling fairy tales, kind of. And that one is obviously The Ugly Duckling. It's different. Most people don't read, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, those kind of things people do, but not The Ugly Duckling. That one, 4 out of 5, maybe 4.5, I don't know, I really like it. And then I went back to Vampire Academy. I read Spiritbound, which is the only one I own, so that's interesting. I gave this book just 4 stars. I say just, it's 4 stars, that's a lot, right? I gave it 4 stars. I did not like it as much as the previous 2 books. I felt it dragged in parts and stuff, but it was definitely emotional, especially the end part, like what happens between her and Dimitri. That stuff really hard for me. It just made me so sad. That and Adrian in general, just Adrian. And then I moved on to Last Sacrifice, which was another library book, unfortunately, and I gave this one 4 stars as well, kind of for the same reasons. I felt it dragged in spots. I also don't think I got full resolution on things. Like, there were new ideas and parts of the world that were introduced in this book that kind of, like, they were convenient, and then we just left them, and I just want more explanation about them. I'm hopeful that these things get addressed in the Bloodlines books, but I don't know how they would. Really? I don't know. So that just takes it down a little bit for me, but again, it was a really well written book, especially the emotional parts, like the emotional aspects of it, I think were really well done. And then, oh my gosh, Adrian. I know I said that with Spiritbound as well, but oh my gosh, Adrian, that poor boy. I just want to reach through the pages and give him a hug. I just feel so bad for him and everything he has to go through. I left the vampires, and it was time to read my TBR jar pick of the month. I read the Jane Austen book club by Karen Joy Fowler, and this is the movie cover. I don't know what the regular cover looks like, actually. I'd seen the movie before. I own it, but I haven't watched it in a couple of years, so it was really weird to read this, and it literally is probably one of the truest adaptations I've ever seen, because like literally words, like full scenes of dialogue are taken out of this book and put in the movie, which is good because, that's a testament to how good of a writer Karen Joy Fowler is. That being said, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's really not my type of book, I think. It was interesting as a fan of Jane Austen, like seeing, really everyone has their own Jane. I think they say that in here, but everyone does. If you're a fan of Jane Austen, then you relate to her in a certain way, and you view her as in a certain way. Like each of these characters, they're all women, do see that a different way, and it's told in a really interesting perspective. It's told in a way where you are part of the story, or like something like the narrator always says like we and us, but it's never I, it's we, and so it makes me feel like I'm part of the book club. But it's told that like basically each chapter is told sort of in the story of each of these characters, not their perspective, but you learn more about each of these 6 characters in that section. And like I said, I did enjoy it. I think I like the movie better. There's just things that were better, like I didn't need all the development, and it's condensed in the book obviously because it's book stuff. An interesting read, but I'm not sure I'd ever pick it up again, basically. And next I read Beautiful Disaster by Jeaniene McGuire, and I actually don't have a rating for this because I do not know if I liked or disliked this book. I'm going to read Walking Disaster and Beautiful Wedding, and then I'm hoping my mind will be clearer and I can give it a rating. It definitely sucked me in. I read it in about a little over 2 days. So I read it fast, but that doesn't necessarily mean something's a good book, honestly. And I kind of felt conflicted the whole time I was reading it, because as interesting as their story is and as compelling as it is, I find it very dysfunctional. And there is one point, Abby, the main character, her roommate tells her, talking to her about what codependency is and how that's basically what they are to each other, and she says, it's dangerous to need someone that much. You're trying to save him and he's hoping you can. You two are a disaster. And then Abby says, it doesn't matter what or why it is when it's good, Kara, and beautiful. And I read that and I was like, that's exactly my issue with this book. But then you think, like, I guess this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to know, then stop listening, I guess, but I have to say this. I kept waiting for the resolution of the book to be them acknowledging the fact that they're in a codependent, unhealthy relationship and to work on rectifying that. Instead, the opposite happened. They're fully aware, or at least she is, how dysfunctional this relationship is, but it's not going to stop her. They're going to do it. They're going to be stupid. And in a way, I feel like, honestly, I feel like that's how Twilight is. But this is worse to me. This is dysfunctional. So, I don't know, but it sucked me in, so like I said, I'm unsure. I'm gonna read the other 2 books to see if that gives me any clarity. If it doesn't, I'm probably gonna rate it kind of low. I don't know. So yes, those are my convoluted thoughts on Beautiful Disaster. And next I read my novella, which was Home for the Holidays, which is part of the Night Hunter series by Jeaniene Frost. I think I talked about this in a haul sometime. I picked it up because the last book in the series is coming out in January, and I guess there's a plot line in this novella that's pretty important. So I thought I would read it because she said it does get brought up in the book, so I just want to be like aware of what's going on. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a novella. I tend to find novellas a little weak in general. It was good, it just, novellas always leave me wanting something. So I of course read My Jolly Christmas Postman. I didn't count this, but I read it. It's 5 out of 5 stars. If you have children, you should read it to your kids. It's awesome. I'm just saying. And then I made a mistake and started reading a book on Christmas and read it and finished it on Christmas. It was Crash Into You by Katie McGarry, which I got as a Christmas present, and it just kept staring at me and staring at me and staring at me from my bookshelf, so I picked it up. 5 out of 5 stars. I talked about this in my top reads of 2013. Oh, I love this book so much. I think it might be my favorite book of the year, and I like it more than Pushing the Limits. I'm still not 100% sure, but I think I do. So, and I just loved both of these characters, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Isaiah before, so I found him a little needy and a little whiny, but in here I really liked him, and I liked Rachel, and I liked the side characters, especially I liked Tigget. I loved Abby. I think I've talked about her in a video I'm going to post later. It'd be awesome if she could get her own book. I'm just saying, Katie McGarry. Just saying. And last, I read Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. And this is both my first book by both of them. Like, I haven't read Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist or that other one they wrote. I don't know what it's called. And I've never read a David Levithan novel, so I didn't really know what to expect, but people kept talking about this and everything. The book, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Which honestly was really the last 75 pages. Before that, it was probably looking at the 2.5, 3. I thought the writing was interesting. I thought it was kind of weird but nice how it worked, because you're going between the different perspectives. That also means time kind of goes back and forth, which I enjoyed. I just don't know how I feel about the characters. Like, I felt like they were a little, I don't know what the word is. Okay, I still don't know what word I'm looking for, but the only way I can describe it, I feel like is going to be really insulting and condescending, but I'm gonna say it anyways. And that is that, to me, it felt like the characters were created by college English students who thought that they knew everything and that they were going to write a character that read all the cool people. You know, they read Fitzgerald and they read Salinger, and oh, they're so edgy and hipstery, and instead of making them truly developed characters. And maybe that's just like the world that we live in, where hipster has become a thing that instead of it literally being interesting to actually like Salinger, who I've only read The Catcher in the Rye, but I did enjoy it, and I'm not the hugest Fitzgerald fan, but like stuff like that, you can have an interest in that, and you can actually find those characters, like those writers, compelling, and the characters that they write compelling. But because of the world where we live in, where hipster is like a thing to be cool now, like being nerdy is cool, when I read stuff like that, it kind of puts me off. So it could be them and their writing, or it could be me. Honestly, it could go either way. And I think it's a cute story, for sure, and I would pick up one of the other books, just not immediately. Like, and I probably wouldn't buy it unless it was like $1 or $2. And so those are all of the books that I read in December. Stay tuned for my January TBR. Thanks for watching. Bye! What is the word? Grease is the word, is the word. No, grease is not the word.